share some new fun cutting techniques for you. So just to give you a little insight of what we're going to be doing today is I've got 3 great haircuts for you, and they're all mullet inspired. Now, they're very salon reality, which is something that I've kind of taken some of the techniques and some of the look of from the 80s, because now behind the chair in the salon, especially my guys, and now it's going more into the girls, is that we are starting to be asked for mullets or shags. So it's like one thing, what's the difference between a shag and what's the difference between a mullet? They're kind of on the same vibe, but they're just executed a little different, and one's a little shorter, one's a little longer. So I hope that you're going to enjoy today's class, because we're going to go into kind of like a faux hawk pixie mullet, which is my first one that I'm going to be doing. Then the next one is going to be more on the mullet side of things, which is just really cool. I can't wait to share that one with you. And then the last one is more of like a shag mullet. So it's like you're kind of getting that short, medium, and long. So I hope that you guys enjoy it. You can mix match these haircuts. It's more, what I like to say is like, it's great to have that relationship. So you need a 3-part relationship when you're in the salon, or you have somebody there. First is you need the relationship with your guest. You need to have your consultation. You need to talk to them, see what they're feeling. Even when that guest comes in your chair and they're like, they're like, Darlene, just do whatever you want. And I'm like, you might like it or might not. So then I go into the consultation of like, so are you looking for something a little shorter today? Are you looking from a 1 to 10? Are you going to be going more extreme you want, or you want to kind of keep it but tweak it a little bit? So again, that's your relationship with your guest, knowing how that hair is going to live, or where they're going to be putting it, and what kind of maintenance that they want with it, and how often they come in for haircuts. I mean, all of that is like just questions that you need. And then you can take all your knowledge and your ideas and then tweak it so that it's more personalized for each and every guest. The second relationship in this is the relationship with the head. I'm always constantly feeling the head, seeing what that hair does, if there are some colics. So I want to have a relationship with this hair. I want to know how the texture is. I want to see how it's going to move, if it's compromised, just all that. So I just want to really look at it. And if they have any bumps in their hair, if I'm going super short, or if I'm going long, but they want certain areas, they might be a little thinner in the recision area. They might be thinner in the back, or they might be really bulky. Is their hair curly? Is it straight? Is it fine? Just all those different things. So you really want to build that relationship with the hair and the head shape. Third relationship is your relationship with your tools. Now, I feel that those are a big part, because that's what's going to be really putting everything together. So what are you going to be using? Are you going to be using clippers? Okay, so what kind of relationship are you going to have with this clipper? Okay, it's going to be an extension of your hand, right? And your arm and your fingers. So, and your wrist. Your wrist is like very key with it. First thing I like to do is like, if you hold it up here, you're going to have more divots. But if you hold your thumb right on through here, then it's almost part of your hand, and it's just easier to get movement with it. So my relationship with my clippers is that if it's something that I'm going to be going very short, if I want to remove a lot of hair, my clippers, my mechanical clippers are going to be the best thing, because then I can get the job done quicker. The type of mechanical cutting with it is that it's going to be a little bit more cut, you know. It's like, think of a blade of grass. If I cut with the lawnmower, I'm getting more of a straight line, right? If I cut with texture shears, or if I cut each blade of grass, they're going to be off a little bit. So that's the difference between your shears, the difference between your clippers or your texture shears. So again, relationship with tools are very important. So then you have your different guards with them, you know, depending on how much hair you want to preserve or how much you want to remove. So relationship, love my clippers. What are they going to be used for? To get the job done quicker, to remove more hair, and to really just go in there when I really need to get that really tight feel with it. My other part of my baby clippers are my little edgers, trimmers. So with these, this is going to be like more of my cleanup, you know, beards, you know, getting those lines in there. And then if I'm doing any kind of design work, after I go in with my clippers, these are more of what I would use because it's like a T in through here. And it's like a quadruple zero. So you're going to get pretty close to the skin. And this is where I do a lot of my cleanups with my male guest or female guest, my short hair guest. My other set of clippers, and these are something that I really like, these get right to the skin. This way, it's a little bit cleaner. You know, I'm not using a razor because, you know, sometimes when you're on that neck, what's happening is that it's just gonna kind of, if you got little bumps or little tags or something, sometimes you can cut them off with your razor. But with this is a very fine, this is by wall, and this is like the finisher. So a lot of times when I'm doing some really tight fades, I will go in with this and it just gets right to the skin. And if you feel, it's like really nice and smooth.
It's like a men's shaving thing?
Yeah, it's just like a men's shaving. It's got like this little copper grill. So it presses down and it just gets really close to the skin. But this is something that I really like when I'm doing my fades because it's real tight, or just cleaning up necks and it doesn't pull.
Cool.
So that would be my mechanical kind of relationship that I have. So some of my other tools, again, I can pull these out. My razor. Now my razor, I can go in, this has got a little bumpy edge to it, if you can kind of see that. And so this is going to be more of like a feather razor. Okay, so I can do cuts with it, I can do cleanups, I can really get pretty tight in there with that. So this would be like my razor relationship. My other is my shears. So this, you know, your shears are your shears, depending what size, you know, what length, that's all a preference to you. What I like about my shears is that I can really build my design lines into it. But a lot of my hard lines or my design lines are going to be with my shears, because then I can kind of get that line in there, that strong line, that guide, and then you can go in and take it, and if you want to shatter it or whatever. But this is probably what, 80% of my time, this is one of the things that I pick up.
Question.
Sure.
On that electric razor.
Oh,
The
on your
question
toy?
is, yes, the question is, does the hair have to be super short before you can use that?
Yes, great question, whoever said that. Thank you. So I'll go in with my T, you know, my little trimmers, and then I can go in and get it. If I do it on long hair, it's not going to really cut it because it can't grab it. It's got to be really short stubbles. I've actually used it to shave my legs once in a while. You know, when they're real short and you want to just get that little smoother, these are really good. So that was a great question. Yes, it has to be on short hair. So my other relationship, another pair of shears, which Jerry can even give a little more insight on them, which I really He gave these to me the other day to use, and these are curved shears. Now, I've always had curved shears because I love them for many, many, many different reasons. Now this one has a really strong curve to it, if you can kind of see that. Can you see that? And through here. So what I like about this is you can use this in so many different relationships with the hair. One is if I'm doing a short haircut, I can go around the ear. You know, I can get a really nice clean line. I like to go in sometimes and texturize so I can kind of peck at the hair and get some chops because it just gives that real tip. I don't have to go in too far. I'm just going in just slightly. You know, I can go in like that. If I'm cutting, and this is what I love for around the parietal ridge, right in through here. If I'm cutting and I hold that hair out, look at how it's going to the round of the head. Isn't that great? So I don't have to, if I go with my regular shears, I'm going to be cutting more of like a stop sign part of it. You know, it's like every time you cut, you create another corner. This one, you're creating more of a curve. So I can go in here and get that curve right off the bat and just have 2 corners versus if I did it the other way, I'd be getting 3 or 4. Okay. Another way, sometimes I'd like to go where I want to cave in the haircut, and I can do this on short hair, long hair. I'll hold the shears the opposite way. And so as I'm cutting this way. So I'm scooping out in the middle and creating that little opening in through here. So you can really have some fun with it that way if you want to kind of collapse this area or collapse a long haircut, which is really cool. I like to go in and texturize with it, and I'll just like kind of take the hair and pull out. This way I'm getting a little bit more of a curve with it, which is like really cool. I'll be using them a lot, so you'll be seeing a lot of different things, but that's the kind of relationship you have with a curved shear. If you don't have any, Jerry has them, and I'm loving them. They're so cool. So I don't know, Jerry can talk about them later. I think Jerry's going to be giving a tool class, which we'll talk about later. So that's my relationship with my curved shears. Curly hair, I forgot about that. If I'm doing curly hair, what I like to do is push down and cut, and I just get some really nice softness with it. Or I can go in and just do a little pecking and flicking with the hair. So it's cool. Am I boring you guys yet? So my other relationship, hold on 1 second, is my texture shears. Now, there are so many texture shears, and I have like 5 different kinds. And, you know, some are where you're going to remove 60%, some is 30%, some is 80%. So it all depends what you want with them. A lot of people are afraid of texture shears, or they think that they're going to be removing too much. My latest pair, again, Jerry, thank you. These are like now going to be my favorite, and I'm not just saying that, it's true. These are a double-sided texture shears, so you have them on both sides. So what that does is I can go straight in the hair, like, and just cut it, pull out the hair, and I don't have any lines with them, which is really nice. So what I like also is that I've been doing a lot of my haircuts, instead of using my shears, I'm using these because I can get a softer edge and just keep cutting.
Holding those a little closer to the camera again so they can see the teeth on both blades.
So Jerry, what was the percentage? Was it 60%, I think, or something?
Yeah, it's about half.
About half, 50%. How's that? Can you guys see that? So, yeah, so I do a lot of soft shearing with it. You know, like there's some that they have 2 sets of shears so that they're kind of doing that same thing, but this is just 1 pair, and they're very comfortable in the hand, which is another, they're not too heavy or too bulky. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of like just freehanding and cutting and love my texture shears. If I have somebody with fine hair, these are great because they just kind of go along with it and they cut, but they don't cut that real strong, chunky line with it. And with like the mullets and everything, there's a lot of softness with them, so they're perfect for it. And I'll be sharing those with you. So, relationship with your tools. So just think about that, relationship with your guest, relationship with the head shape and the hair texture. And then your relationship with your tools. So how was that? So shall we get started? So my first guest here, I don't know what we'll call her. I think we're going to call her Rebecca. So I want to go in and just do a very kind of like a pixie mohawk in there, and I'm going to do just a slight design with it. So I already kind of sectioned off, and I have 3 sections. One is right at the round of the head. So if you look at this, it's right on that round. If you go too low, then you're just going to get a smaller part that I'm going to be removing. And I want it to be right on that round, so I start getting lift about right here. Okay? And I have that going all the way around, and I have it dipped because I want this to have a little bit more movement, and I want it to almost like what kind of like soft flow into the back. I want it not to a heavy point. So if you look here, I have it to a V, and then I have the other side. My other section is I have this sectioned off, and this is right at the round of the head. Okay, and so this is just a line right in through here. And it's like a triangle. And then I have the very top sectioned off. So that's your sectioning for this. So it's not wet because I want to cut, and that's another thing when you're doing clipper cutting, and on my male guest or my short hair guest, I like to have the hair dry because, you know, clippers, they don't cut really well when the hair is super wet, you know, unless you're doing a wet haircut, you know, and using your clippers as the scissors. So the first thing that I like to do is, again, section off my hair. This I will kind of wet afterwards because this is going to be a cutting relationship in through here. And then my next thing is, because they might have product in the hair, they might have, you know, slept on it when it's real short. So I want to take my dryer and I want to just bring it all different directions. So I'm trying to get that hair to live at its natural point. So I have my Burnham brush. I don't know if you can hear me. So I have a Burnham brush because this is going to really, it's got the harder bristles and the hair is so short. So I'm just going to go in here and I'm just kind of flat wrapping around the head. And I go in one direction first. So I do this with super short haircuts or whatever because I feel that it's just going to get all those hairs kind of to live where they're supposed to and get all the kinks out of the hair. So I'm just going in here, and it doesn't take long. Plus, if they have product in their hair, that's going to help. So you just want to do that so that it has a little bit more natural fall to it. Can you kind of see how that kind of calmed her down just a little? Okay. So now another relationship. We're all about relationships today. So let's talk relationships. So your tools, you know, but don't forget your combs. What kind of comb are you going to be using to do a clipper cut with. I like something that has more finer teeth. I love my barbering comb in through here because it has really tight teeth in through here, and it also has a little bit wider. Now this one I like because I can run the clippers right over. See, it's the same size as the clipper. Do you see that? You don't see the clipper edges. So I'm not going to where if I take, say, a regular cutting comb, do you see how it's like over it? So then sometimes if you have just a little bit of an angle, you might get divots or it might get too short. So love my clipper comb. And this is gonna really help. And it's got a great width between the teeth. And I know somebody is gonna ask me, and this is the baby bliss. So, because those are like really important. How's that? Can you guys see okay? Or should I, am I like shadowing a little bit? Oh, okay. Oh, good. So I'm gonna go right in through here. I'm gonna take my comb. Now, I'm gonna have it just a little dipped right in through here. See how it kind of comes down. So I like to start in the back. And I have, I'm trying to think what size I have. I have a 2. Okay, so my clipper is a 2, and I just have 0 guard. I just like to have an extra guard on there just to give me a little bit more because then I can go up. I always like to start out with like, I don't like to go the tightest. I like to go what my end result is going to be. So it's going to be like a 2, 2 1/4 by the time I'm done. And then I can go back in and go with like a 1A, and then I can go in with, and I like to start out with the longest one and then go into the shortest because I want this to have a nice bevel right in through here because I'm going to start adding here so it kind of flows together. If I cut this totally off and around the head, what's going to happen is it's just going to cave in too much, and then it's going to be really short and hard to blend the longer top with it. Okay. So I'm just going to take this. Can you guys see okay?
Timber.
I know. This wouldn't happen with a real cut. Okay, so I'm going to just tilt her just a little. So I have a better angle. And I'm going to go in here. And I'm just going to start. So when you're doing this, you can go in, and the clipper has that nice little guard. So again, finger, thumb right there. And this is a mannequin, so if you can cut a mannequin with clippers, you can cut a person with clippers. Does everybody love using clippers? So see how I'm just going in here, and again, I'm really trying to remove a lot of that hair.
Darlene, someone asked, what's the name of the clippers?
My clippers, these are the classic 76. These are Oscars. So I know there's like the motor driven, you know, and magnetic driven, right? There's like motor. Clippers is like a whole nother, I have a lot of friends that are barbers. And so the Osters are the hair removals. These are your heavy duty worker guys. Then you can do more of like those cordless ones and stuff like that. They're just a little bit softer, but this is going to remove the most bulk.
So the person who asked the question was thinking that you mentioned a wall clipper for edges. Is that correct?
These are Oster also, but you can use ball. I'm like an Oster right now. But these are a ball right in here.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to go in here, and as you can see,
you really want to get that nice line. So I'm just going in, removing that hair. And when I'm doing my clippers, I don't just go in one direction. So I'll go up this way, okay? Then I'll go back in this way because that hair has a mind of its own. So I want to make sure that I'm getting all of it. Now, when I'm getting closer to this bevel, I'm going to take my comb here. And I'm going to use that. Can you guys see that okay, or do I need to move? Okay. So I hold my comb here. And so see, that's already starting to give me that really nice edge to it. You can go back in this way. But it's going to keep it soft because it's holding it. You see already how that's looking really, and I'm just going to take it here. And if I need to remove a little. And it almost gives it just a nice edge. So again, I'm going to go in here. And I can take all this off. And then take my comb. So where am I holding the comb? I'm holding it, if you look at this and see here. I'm holding it like right here. So this is right where that rounded edge head is. So it's almost like my little guide. And see how I'm like flicking that hair? And see how this hair is just getting pushed up, but it's being held by that comb. Right into there. But see how you're already getting a really nice line to it. You're getting that little bit of a bevel to it. And again, I'm going sideways. I'll take it shorter eventually. I'd rather kind of remove as much as I can and then fine tune it. But I'm just trying to get that nice shape to it. But keeping that comb right there is like, to me, is like such a key. A lot of times barbers or whatever, they'll like kind of cut the line in first, but my comb does that for me. So see, I'm getting a real nice little point down here. And I'm not getting a real strong line. Can you guys see that okay? Can you see that? Is the light's okay on there? Yeah. Okay. Is that better or? Oh, okay. Oh, that was really good. Okay. So see how I'm already getting that really nice edge to it. So now I'm going to go to this side. Again, tilt your head. And start in the back. Hold kind of go up with it. And I just want to have it go in different directions. So like when we do our training for clinical, what happens, a lot of times we have to cut on our mannequins, and it's so good, because I'm like, if you can cut a good clipper cut on a mannequin, you can cut it on a person. Any questions on clipper cutting? Do you ever have an issue where, say, a person has a lot of bumpy scalp, you know, especially when they're going this short, and it's like, and have all the little folds, or, you know, like when they pick their head up, you know, like a Sharpay.
Someone wants to know what the name of that wall sticker is. Darlene, the one you said you sometimes do with.
I'm sorry?
Someone wanted to know what the particular name of that wall sticker is, the one you said you sometimes shake your legs with.
This is a super close wall. It's a finisher. It's just a finishing tool, yeah. And see when it goes on. So see, I'm getting that really nice line in here. So again, just holding that.
You could leave it like that. But look at how nice that line's already looking. Look at how, you know, I'm gonna have to take it up like right into here, but she just got a really nice, so she wanted to, you know, it just feels really nice and. Yeah. Now we're just gonna take off this little ear here. I'm gonna hold my clippers because that's my, almost like my cutting line. I'm gonna take it off. And I like cutting this way because then you really see all that movement. So can you see my cone, how it's kind of on that 45? So when I go across like that, I'm creating a heavier line, but when I go up like this, I'm softening it. So it's just going to be a softer line. You see I'm going back and forth. Following that. And you know, a lot of times I see people, and see how I'm bringing the tongue out this way, and just kind of going in here, using the corner. A lot of people tend to like, okay, I did my clippers and I'm done. But you really have to go over it a few times just to really get all those little pieces. And especially if you're doing like a fade.
So someone wanted to know if you were going to mention anything in particular about bumpy heads.
Oh, bumpy heads. So when they have a lot of bumps, like right into this back, right here. When I go in to clipper them, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just take my thumb and lift up and then cut it. That way I kind of get more of a smoother, or take your comb and then cut it that way, because then what's going to happen is then you won't have all those bumps.
Yeah, that sharp edge.
That sharp edge, yeah. Mhm. Okay. So now I'm going to change to a 1A here, okay? When you're using your clippers, something that I learned was never just slam your blade down, turn them on first, and then put it in. This way, it just goes in more smoothly and it's not like real jerky for it, okay? So now I'm going to take my guard off of here. And, you know, these clippers, they tend to get very hot. So, you know, using something to cool down is like really important. So as I'm doing my clipper cuts, a lot of times I just touch just to make sure, and if I need to cool it down, I'll cool it down. The cool lube.
Yeah.
Or if I have a couple, like I have a couple 2s, I have a couple 1As and all that, then I just switch my blades, you know, if I didn't have any on me.
So see how I'm getting a real nice line here. So now I'm gonna go in, and I wanna bring this up just a little shorter. So I'm really, my motion is just gonna be like this. And if you're not comfortable with your shear or with your clippers, just hold on to them for a while, and you know, just like when we had our scissors and stuff like that. So now I'm gonna go in here. I'll turn it this way so you can see this. And I'm gonna start in the back. And I'm gonna take this because I want this to be very faded. You can see how it has like a little edge to it. And then I take, this is my baby. Anytime I do clipper cuts, it's a little barber brush. And what that's gonna do is remove some of the hair, like the loose hairs that I cut, but also it kind of gets all that hair to the place that I need it. I actually have one like this that I use for dressing hair too, because it gets all those little baby fine hairs, like a little hairspray. So I have a few of them. So I'm gonna go in here. I'm gonna go pretty close and see how I'm just going in, and I'm just on that angle. And I'm getting closer. On a mannequin, as close as I can get. And see how the clippers are automatically dark. I'm going on that edge. And this is a 1A, if you guys didn't get that. So you can see I have the shortness here. You can see how tight that is right through here. And this is where my other one, and this is like where I kind of really angled upward with it. I'm gonna put that head down. And still just kind of lifting it up and going into brushing that. And if you have, sometimes what I like to do is stand back to see. If you see a lot of dark and light into here, that means that you gotta go back in and that the clippers aren't working. Or they're working, but you got some loose hair. Now I'm bringing this down an angle going upwards, or And just really scooping that out into here, around that ear. See how I'm just really working with it. And I'm working within. I like to stand back and I like to see what that line is looking like. So I kind of look at the silhouette. Instead of like, we're so trained to look at like the line that we're cutting, with this, you need to really look at that silhouette. Go into here. And going in. Figuring it out. Getting that line. Going back and forth. Using my brush. Around the ear is very tricky, so if this was a real person, I'd have them hold their ear down. And now I'm going to go to this side. I guess this mannequin is going to be done with haircut. But if you have an old mannequin, this is something good to practice on if you're not comfortable with them. Do we have any barbers in the house? Anybody else or no? Anybody? So now I'm just looking for that shape. I'm going to take my comb just to make sure and just kind of get in there. I want to really stay by that hairline too. So see, I went right on that round of the head, but see how if I went down too far, I would only have a little bit. I really want to have that nice little hair right into here so that it's not totally popping out. And I can see I need to go a little bit more into here. And really stand back and you can see, like you can see all the shadows. You can see how it's really short and you can see how nice of a line I got right into here. That's really, for a mannequin, it's pretty good. Actually, where you don't see any real heavy spots. You see an outline around and then look at the shape. Look at the outside of the shape. How is that? Does it have a nice outline to it? Are there any bumps to it? See that? You see how that shape. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that shape. Okay. Pretty cool. So I'm done right now with my clippers. Now I'm going to take the big comb here, and I just want to soften this up a little bit. So I'm going to go in here, and these are those double-sided. So that's going to give it so it's not too bumpy for me. And I can remove some bulk that way.
and it'll just fall in a lot nicer. And if I feel that it's still a little long in a place, I have enough room for play. And see, I'm just lifting that up, doing a little barbering in here. And see how that just softened that up just a little bit more, it fades it in. So before we go any further, hopefully, a mannequin, I don't know how much, but you know, just a little cute design. I saw this on the internet and I thought it was really cool. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a line, and I'm gonna start in the back here. And I just wanna go, so like when you're doing any kind of lines, there's many different ways that you can do this. One is you can take your shears and you can start the line first, you know, and then go in, you can kind of draw the line in with your shears, then go in and do it with the clippers, or you can just freehand and do clippers right off the bat. So she's pretty short. So what I want to do is I want to take on an angle, I want to take a line like this that comes to about right here, another one here, and another one here. So it's going to just be on this one side. It's like really cute. It's pretty short, so I don't need to use that. So I'm going to, now when you're doing this, you really want to just press in like this, and then just rub up and down just a little bit, so you get a really nice strong line to it. So I want it to go on the side on an angle to kind of match that. So I'm going to take it like this, and see how I'm just kind of going in. You can see that line. You know, just follow into there. Can you guys see the line? And then if you need to, you can go in and go sideways with it. So you can bring that as far as you want with it. Oh yeah, see? I mean, it's short. So now I'm just going to go in a little bit more because I really want to. I'm just going in, tapping, and then just running it across, just ever so slightly, and then I can take that edge and really go in. Now they do have some really cool, they're basically the same thing, but it's only like 3-4 teeth. And it's like just an edging trimmer, like to do designs. So you can have something like that. Then I like to take my brush because then I can really brush all that hair out of the way. So now I'm going to go in again, and I'm just going to go down just a little bit. Bring that line in, right here. Now, you know, if you're doing lines across this way, it's a little harder because the hair, you know, runs more straight out. And so you really have to go in there to get those lines. But you can do curves and you can do all kinds of different. It's amazing to watch how they, like, I love just watching all the designs. And then, of course, I'm thinking, you know, I think I want to color it next, you know? So I'm just running it across this way so I can get it stronger. So on a real person, so I just brought these on one side. Now I could take it on both sides, which would be really cute, and just run that across and bring them into a V. But I just really liked how I saw this one where they just did, and it was on a girl. Can you guys see that? Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to the other side. And now on her, on this side, I'm doing it up here. So it's kind of got a little asymmetry to it. So I'm going to take this, and you're going to see this one more, and I'm going to take one line all the way
to the ear, then it's gonna kind of come down a little shorter. So I just want to go right on that bump. So see, I'm going right in there. And taking that right down. You can really see that line, right? Now I'm going to take one more right here. And then I'm going to move it. Isn't that cute? I just thought this was so cool. And then I'm going to do one more right here. You see how I'm just going up and down. And then I'm going to clean that up. Ta-da! So if I feel that it's just a little heavy right here, so I can go in here now and soft shear over. I like that. And if you need to clean it up, like on a person or something, you can go back in with your shears and just really define them even a little bit more. Okay, so I like how faded she is into here. I think we got a pretty good, and even though you saw how short this was, and we still have lines on our mannequin, which is really cool. So now we are going to get into the scissor portion of it. We're done with our clippers, and we're going to start. I'm dancing today with my girl. We're going to wet this hair down because I want to have this on that wet side because I want a little bit stronger with it. And I'm using Avocoo Wild Moisture Mist because I want to make sure that that hair stays just a little bit wetter and it just has moisture, which is really good. So now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking right at that high point of the head right here and working out here. I want to keep this a little bit on the longer side. So you can see here, if I wanted to, I mean, it's really cute and it kind of all starts to fall in, but I want it to have that look in through here. And this is going to be pretty much like more of the shorter portion of the hair. So now I'm going to take my curve shears and I'm going to start in this back, and I am going to be taking diagonal sections all the way across like this. And they're all going to come to a stationary guide right into this little area where I already have my guide started. So, take my first section here. Can you all see okay? Okay. I want to take a tighter comb because, you know, think of your relationship with your head right here. This is the occiput, the parietal ridge right in through here. So this is right at that round. So even though you cut and if you pull really tight, it's going to kind of start to soften and have a little bit more of a roundness to it. So I want to have that hair pretty down. I'm finding my guide and I'm going to be working with my curves going in. I'm just going to cut those. Let's see how it's going. So now I'm going to
take my next section and I'm going to bring this down. Find my guide, which is right there. And I'm just going to cut that. And I'm not cutting all the way, I'm just going halfway here. And I'm going to cut that. And see how that's already starting to give it a real nice roundness to it. So now, usually by this point, I really don't have a lot of hair. So I'm just cutting all of this off right here. See how that's all falling in really nice. Now I'm going to go to this side. Just like I did before, I'm just going to take that diagonal back section. And if I wanted to have it left longer, this pretty much, I would just go in here and I would cut this so that it would have a longer shape to it, you know, and I would maybe just cut this little point off so that she would have some hair that she could tuck behind her ear. I mean, there's lots of different options, but I just wanted to show real nice graduation in the back with it. So I see my guide, and again, I'm cutting the same way, but I'm cutting to the back. And so now this is just going to come out. And get that really nice line. So see how you're getting that real nice line. I'm going to take my next section.
Sherry, there's a
diagonal back.
question here for you. How do these thin shears compare to the ones that were included at the 2019 fall show?
Jerry will get back to you on that. He stepped out for a moment. So, and as you can see, I'm not holding it straight down. I'm holding it out at like a 45, right in through here. And I'm holding that. I have my guide.
I actually believe that these are the same fitting shears that were used at the 2019 show.
The double.
Yes.
I probably didn't do cutting then.
No,
so-
but Joe was there
Oh, Joe.
and he used these same shears.
Is Joe with us today?
He is not.
Oh, I thought Joe was gonna be here. Any returning people? So see how this is already just falling in really nice. I think it just
Jerry,
gorgeous.
are these double-sided thinning shears the same ones that Joe would have used at the show? And we have a couple of returning.
Oh yeah, well, welcome back. I keep going out, but I just want to make sure that the man is there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're addressing this front area right through here. So I brought these all diagonal back, right? And I cut them forward. I want to continue that line. So I am going to be bringing this diagonal forward because we're working on the front of the hair. And I just want to lift that out. And hold that out at a 45. And it's going to be a little bit longer because I just want to make sure that I have enough. And I'm almost taking my parting, if you look right through here. So this was all the hair that I took diagonal back. Now I'm taking it kind of just on a little bit of a diagonal this way. And it's going diagonal forward. But it's more, depending where you're standing, it's more of like a vertical. And I'm using the smaller side of my shears, or of my comb, because I want to really have control of that hair. And so now I'm just going to take that and see how I'm bringing that back and taking this corner off. So if you look at, it looks like it's a pretty even line to it, but you can see how it kind of scoops a little. So you're going to have just a little bit more softness with it. Now I'm just gonna take that, wherever I have some hair, find my guide. Again, it's coming from the round of the head, so you're gonna have some lift with it. And by holding it out at that 40. Okay. So see, and through here now, when I start to come this back, it's just gonna really fall in nicely for her. Now I'm gonna take this side and do the same thing. I'm gonna find my guide into here. And I'm going to bring this back. Can you see that? And my shears are, again, they're curving with the head shape. So see how they're curved like this. And then I'm just going to hold that out at a 45. Taking that section, holding that out. Bringing all that hair across. She's got just a little bit of a switch to it. You would like this haircut. We could have used you.
Really?
So what I like is, like, if you want to bring this down, you have just a really nice softness to it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to address the very front of the hair. And this is going to be, this is where I like to personalize. I mean, we can leave this really long and shaggy so it kind of just stays this way. We can take this really short so it goes up in through here. I mean, there's lots of different ways you can address this very front of the hair. I want to kind of leave her a little bit shaggy in through here, and I think the length of her is pretty good. You can see that. So I'm going to go right at the high point of the head, right where I had it sectioned off before. And now I'm going to take my texture shears, my double-sided texture shears. So see all the different tools that I've been using. And I just want to pick up this middle and see, you can see, because of me going on that diagonal back, I've got a long point right in through here, and I got short sides right in through here. So I'm bringing this straight up, right from that round of the head. And I'm going to take my double-sided, and I just want to cut that point off right in through here. And her hair is not sopping wet, it's almost getting back on the drier side, which is fine. So that's going to be my kind of pixie, my shortest point on the haircut. So now her head's going to go straight up, and I'm just going to take vertical or horizontal, depending where you're standing, and I'm going to over direct everything right to that point. So, you know, these short haircuts, there's a lot going on with them. You can take this, but I just want to use this as my guide point right in through here. And you just keep cutting until you don't see any of that hair. I don't know if I've ever told this story, but I had this one guy, I was cutting his hair, and he thought my scissors were broken because I kept cutting them the same spot. And I'm taking my wider side of my comb just because I don't want to put a lot of tension on that hair. So I'm bringing all this forward or towards me. And what that's going to do is see how that's giving it a little bit of height in through here. And I can have a little bit of a swoop.
So then to refine a little bit more, I'll go in with a shear and just really go in there. I want to see that line, and because of the way her hair lives, I feel like I'm losing that line into here, so I just want to texturize that out just a little bit more all around the edge, because that's going to really push that in there. And then when I get to this very front part, I want to go in with my double-sided texture shears, and I'm just going to go in and cut that out just a little bit more, just to remove some of that bulk. And then we can lift this up. And this is where you personalize it. If they don't want a lot of hair, then you can cut that fringe off. She has a slight bulk right here, so I just want to go in here and see how I'm going in and just point cutting, closing as I go out, and that these shears just like slide that hair right out. And just gives it a better shape. Now on this side, she's a little bit heavier. And so I'm going to go into this side. Out. You can go in and lift that up. So what did I use? I used clippers. I used trimmers, and I used the curve shears, and I used the double-sided texture shears, all on one haircut.
Kitty says it looks nice.
For Manny, right? I'm loving it. Now I see a little, let's see, right here. See how it's like just a little bit thicker right through this area. Much better look. Right in this one spot. So I'm just going to go in here. And remove things. So there's many different ways you can address this whole top. I feel that the most important is like right in through this area, because that's where the design is. That's where you're going to have some fun with it. If you wanted to bring that forward, look at how cute that looks. In through here. You can bring that up. You can bring it together. This could be a guy cut, a girl cut, whichever that you want to do with it. And bring that piece in there.
Beautiful.
I'm so loving it. So I'm going to use, which is brand new.
Ramona and Karen say very cute.
Yay.
Looks great.
So I'm going to take a little bit of my cream so that I can add more texture to it. And then I'm going to go in and just kind of use the diamond brush and brush it around. So this has that 85 to it, don't you feel it? I just used some invisible wear velvet cream. I like having, just using my hand, and sometimes I'll take off my nozzle, especially with the short hair. I just want to see how it's going to live. And just taking and just blowing it around. Because, you know, people with super short hair, they just want to have it relax, you know? Now, if I took this whole fringe area off, that would give it just a totally different look. Like if I wanted to go in and almost do it a real heavy pixie, that would be so cute too. I could change this haircut like 3 different ways. You know, every time I cut it, it could be something else. But if you took all of this and made this all a pixie and had that a little shorter in here, that would be so cute too, right? I'm always like, oh, but this would be cute. That would be cute. What am I going to share with you guys today? So Rebecca,
Yay. Nice, very nice.
on Manny.
Super cute. And I knew this question would come down to, what kind of blow dryer do you have?
This is the Gamma Professional. It's on a take up the Dyson. I'm loving it. It really dries the hair really fast. So, and it's very light. So it's almost like you feel like you have a pretend. I did, so here's my honest on this, is that there is a piece that was looking just like this. It had the metal ring and then it had this little thing, and this is where the air intake is. And just the other day I dropped it, and this is just plastic and it comes off so that you can clean this filter. So you have to be careful because everybody in our salon, even if they don't drop it, it's like eventually they kind of just give away. And Gamma, all the money that you're spending on this dryer, you should have this ring metal. So that's my only downside of this full dryer. Otherwise, oh my gosh, this is my favorite. I love, 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 love this dryer. So, how was that?
That was one.
Did you guys have a good time with that? I have a lot of hair on the floor here. Just gonna move this out of the way. So I don't slide, I'm sliding all over the place.
Darlene says the blow dryer looks light and compact, and she loves it.
Oh, yay.
And then it says super cute.
Okay. So now I'll have this one, and that one will be in there too. Okay, so this one I pre-sectioned, or I didn't pre-section, but I just wanted to share these. And you can probably take a picture of them later and we'll put it on the site so you see the sectioning for it. This is going into my medium length, and it is going to be more mullety with pieces. So this whole area right in through here, where you see these zigzags and stuff like that, this is all going to be shorter. And then all these ponies that I have out and braids, these are going to be left longer, and we're going to incorporate them into the hair. So I will go over the sectioning, but I just want to share that with you. See how it comes out, these different pieces. So you're basically, what I like about this is you can kind of see, like right in through here, you've got right on that parietal ridge, but it's zigzagged down. And you have the same thing on this side. And then you have like a cat eye right here in the middle. And then you have all these pieces that it comes down to a V. So if you look at the relationship of this haircut, this right in through here is going to be your shortest. This is going to round off on the edges, all in through here. And then these are just going to get incorporated in. So it's a really cool sectioning. You can do, you know, so many different things with it. Again, what, oh, go ahead.
Kitty is asking for the
Hi,
cut
Kitty.
you just did, about how much time did you spend doing that?
45 minutes, you know? I don't know, like my haircuts are all, I have them scheduled 45 minutes unless it's super long here. So then I do an hour to an hour 15,
With the
depending
blowout though, right?
with the blowout. But yeah, like 45 minutes, because I like to really go in there and like I said, I do a little bit of the round brushing. And then salon, what I would do is instead of just wetting the hair down, I would go and take them back and give them their shampoo, then cut the rest of the hair and then blow dry it. So that takes a few more minutes to it. Any other questions before I get started on this haircut? Do we have any from the last haircut?
Kitty says thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Any others or no? So can I get started on haircut number 2? Yeah. Okay. So here we go. I will have this right here and we will take a picture of this later and then we can.
Do it now, come
I gotta take a picture of it. Oh, there we go.
Good.
Back. And then did you get the front? There we go. Technology. Okay, so here's my girl. So we can go over the sectioning because at the beginning, when I first started doing this cut, it was like I was playing with different sections and like which section's gonna work the best and how am I gonna get that nice roundness out of the haircut in through here and getting those pieces to kind of fall down.
How do you decide? Sectioning.
Sectioning, again, the relationship with this hair and the shape of the head, and also where I want that hair to live after I cut it. So I know that like with that sectioning that in through here, I want this really short right in here and tight, but I want to make sure that I have these pieces so that I have some hair to play with. And because I want that round shape, but I want it to be disconnected and kind of have that mullety, you know, feel, but blended at the same time. So that's why I went in with those points where, as I'm gonna do the section, you'll see that I'm like higher on the round of the head here, lower here, where the hair starts to kind of fall down. So just, you know, play with it. Like what areas need to have height or length, you know, and just kind of know your rules. As Jerry was saying earlier, you were talking about rules. Jerry was just sharing with me that he plays guitar. And
I play at it.
you what?
I play at it. I'm not really.
You play at it. So, and you know, it kind of goes in the same thing. Jerry's learning to play guitar. I'm learning to play golf. So you have to know the rules. You have to know your tools, basically, your pick or which string is which, right? So you have to know your tools. You have to know your clubs if you're playing golf. So you have to know what they all do, you know? So think of where this hair is sectioned up. You have to know where it's gonna fall. And if you cut it, where it's gonna be then.
And how thick you want it to be when it falls.
And how thick you want it. And if you're cutting, you know, graduation or concave or convex, those are all our rules, right? What do they say? There's only 3 ways to cut hair, right? You have your horizontal, your vertical, or your 90. And that's basically the same thing. It's the rules. So remember rules. Okay, so on the head right here, we're going to address the in front. And if you look at how this is sectioned, I'm going to part the hair down the middle first. Now, it doesn't matter what side she parts on, it's just that we're working on the head. So I want to have pretty much more of a balance to it. So I'm going to take this. And if you look how this is, my very first piece, it's like a cat eye. So that's the area that I want to section off first. And she's already drawing on me. And again, when you're doing haircuts, you really want to focus on the moisture in the hair. So where I'm gonna start that cat eye, do you see how I'm going right at, it's also, every head shape is different. It's right at right where that comb starts to lift from the forehead. See that? So that's where my point is gonna start. And I'm not taking a super large section. But I just want this to go up. This one has more sectioning than the last one, so I just want to really get this straight. So again, this is the flat part of the head, right? So it's just starting to round, and then here is right where that parietal ridge is, okay? So it's right at that high point. And I'm just gonna curve that out.
I bet your clients really appreciate it when you go through all this trouble to section out the hair like that.
You know what? It is important, and I think that they feel that I know what I'm doing. But it's actually helping me because I'm going to be cutting each of these sections, and I won't get lost. It's like my Waze or my Google Maps. But see how I already have that V starting right through here. So by taking this very first section, do you see where I've got that to? And it goes right to the top of the round. So it's at the top of the round, it's like a cat eye. So now what I'm gonna do is, you can see in through here, there's that cat eye. Right in through here. Now I'm going to go again with my comb. And I am going to take that right here. On the back of the ear first. There we go. Right into there. I'm going to go right to that. So I get my angle. And then I'm going to go right in through here, right where that round is. And I'm basically doing a triangle. So see how all this hair is left out. So this takes a little while, but then once you get it, it's like, oh, okay. So now I have that hair split, right? And again, this is right on that parietal ridge. And I'm just going to take that down on a slight it's almost the same idea as the last cut that we did. And this is the halfway point. And then see where this right here, right at that tip, I'm just going to take that and I'm going to split it into two. And I think I didn't bring enough clips. And if you look at it here, there's those two pieces right there. So this one actually gets incorporated later with the other.
You need clips?
No, I'm good. So I'm going to take this out right into here, and then I'm going to take this in here. This is going to be left out. This is going to have, this is going to be the hair that's at the bottom. And then this is going to be left out here. So now we're going to do the exact same thing right in through here. We're going to split this hair right by the ear. We're going to go right to that round of the head. Bring that diagonal forward into here. And then we're going to take this right at that round. So it's not meeting up right with that point. It's just back a little bit. And then we're going to take that triangle section right here. And I'm just going to click that in. Then I'm going to take this out, and this is going to be my left out here. So now I'm going to go from that point, and I'm going to just bring that diagonal back. And then I have all of this hair, and right at that point, this is going to get sectioned off. So see how this creates all these little triangles. And it's going to vary from hair to hair. And then I'm just going to incorporate these two right here. So see how she has that little point. Okay, did I confuse everybody yet?
I've been making notes in the chat as you talk through the sections, so hopefully I can look at that and it'll make sense.
And in here, I like to braid these because I want to make sure that I save this hair. This is the hair that is going to be left down and left out. I don't want to cut it. So just by braiding it. So this, realistically, in the salon, I can do this in 5 minutes. You know, it doesn't really take long once you start getting used to it. But this is just a really great sectioning. So it really makes you think of like how you're going to be incorporating this haircut. Okay, are we ready? Incorporate that. As we always say, measure, right? Measure twice, cut once.
Correct.
So sectioning is kind of important. So now I have all this into here. And again, if you want to look, it's like right here, right at the round, right by that precision area, that's where I left this hair out. I've got this whole fringe area through here. Now, somebody who has a larger forehead or there's more, you might even start up into here, you know, if you want to have a stronger bang. So there's like lots of different ways that you can do this. Okay. So we're going to start. And again, I'm going to use my cursors because I really like these. We're going to wet this hair.
New toy, new toy.
It's a new toy. How about it? We get a new toy and then we use it on everything. And then one day we forget about it. Just like kids, right? We forget about our new toys and then we go back to our old toys. So it's why you kind of rotate them around, just like products, same thing. You use the same product, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's not working the same way because you're doing a different haircut. And think of it that way too. You use different products for different haircuts, for different outcomes, right? Same thing with scissors. Got to try different ones so that you have a better outcome of it. So I'm going to take this very first section right here, and it's right at that point. So it's going to be right at this point, right? Oops. There we go. Is that good? Yeah. So it's going to be right at this point right here. You know, I start out in one spot in Jerry's place and then I end up being like, all over the place, so. So I'm gonna take this very first section right here. And I want this is a mullet and it's gonna be pretty short, so I want it to live to about right there, right? So I'm holding this straight out, as you can see. I'm gonna hold this straight out. And I'm just gonna use my curve and cut that off. So that's gonna be right there. Now I'm going to take my next section and I'm bringing it on a slight diagonal back, but I am keeping it traveling. So I want it to go around because I want to keep this really nice and short. So I'm going diagonal back. I'm traveling with this. I'm holding it out at a 90.
So no over direction.
No over direction. And you can take this really short, again, diagonal. Once you get used to this, and I'm holding that out. Can you see that? I'm just holding that straight out. Yeah, holding that straight out. And I'm right on that incision area. So see how that's already starting to have that little mullet feel to it, because it's getting cut right into. So now I'm going to go to this side. And you know, when you're cutting, look at how nice these shears cut. They just go. When you're cutting, you always want to cut that hair. You want to cut that hair, comb the hair first to the hair that's already cut so you can find your guide. And I'm also, when I'm going to be cutting, I'm cutting one side of the hair, the whole head, and then I'm going to go to the other side and cut it. So now I'm just traveling with my guide, holding it at a 90, and cutting that off. I figured I'd give this Manny because she has lots of fun colors in her.
Was she Stevie Nicks the last time you did cuts and you did the shag?
She might have been.
She looks.
So see how it's not a very blunt because I held it out at that 90. So now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to section number 2. So this would be section number 1. Number 2 is the top. So what that's going to do is that's going to anchor this whole haircut. So this is the cat eye, right? So this is the part that I really want to, this is going to be my guide for the rest of the haircut. So I just dropped out this whole section right into here. There we go. Sorry guys, I'm having technical difficulties here, but I just want you guys to see it. So here is my cat eye, right in through here. Okay. So now I'm going to take a right down the middle. So it's basically 3 sections. So see, I do all the sectioning, but what happens is that now I know where I'm going to be cutting and I know where I left off. You know, it's just really nice and easy. So I'm going to be cutting short to long. So I want to stand on the side so that I can cut upward. If I stood on the other side, then I'd be cutting to it and I'd probably cut too much off into here. So I'm going to take a little bit of my guide from my fringe area. And that's going to be my shortest. Everybody seeing everything okay? So here's my short point right here. So I'm bringing this straight out at a 90. I'm using my curved shears and I'm cutting that. Do you see how I'm getting that nice line over there? So I'm going short to long and I'm cutting again. And I'm holding it all at a 90 vertically. Cutting that up. Here's my end. So if you look at this, short to long. So she's going to have a little bit more shortness here. I want the hair to fall over just a little bit more and have more of a roundness to it. So now I'm going to take my last section on the one side and I'm going to over direct it to my previously cut. So it's not a traveling guide, it's a stationary guide. And I'm cutting that up.
Darlene, we have a question. When you first started using the curved scissors, was it odd? Did you cut yourself a lot?
I did. Jerry gave me some Band-Aids and I think he gave me like about 7 or 8 of them. And yeah, I had, and I probably still have, I caught myself because it's like you got to take into consideration that tip. And so, yeah, I was nipping into myself. But now, I don't know, I kind of got used to them.
Only been a week, right?
It's only been a week. So now I'm just cutting this. And if you look at how that section, do you see how it has that slight curve to it? Can you see that? So cool. So now I'm standing on the same side. And now I'm taking the hair that's going to get cut to my stationary guide, which is right here. And I'm just going to cut that up. I have a pair of curved shears and I will show them to you later, but they're not quite as curved as these and I'm really liking the bigger curve to them. The other ones didn't have that much of a curve right in through here. So I feel like I can have a little bit more, it's more noticeable, the curve, than my other ones. And so I'm holding that at a 90. So now this is, everything is going to go from there. But you see how this is already falling in. And she has that nice little roundness to it. Okay, so now, like I said, I'm going to start going just to the one side. So section 1 for cutting, section 2. I'm just trying to keep you guys on track here so that you don't get lost. So now I'm going to drop this section down right in through here. Now, when I look, here's my section right in through here. So I'm going to be taking, and I'm taking a diagonal forward section, and I'm just bringing that up, and I'm going to cut that. Here's my point. And bring that kind of a radial diagonal. And I'm going to cut that. One of the nice things I like is how nice and big the shear is. So I can really just get like one swoop of a haircut in there. So do you see how I'm bringing all this hair right here? And I'm just bringing it straight out and I'm cutting that. that if you look at it this way, you see how it has that roundness to it. Now, these last two sections right in through here, I am going to drop those down, both of them, and take a little bit of my guide, and these are going to be a diagonal forward. And I'm just going to cut that. This is another diagonal forward. So I have that cat eye, right in through here. So I'm almost doing like a pivoting. And I'm holding that straight out at a 90. And you can take this as short. So see how I'm just taking this, it's a diagonal, and I'm just pivoting around the head by using my guide from my cat eye. And I'm holding that straight out. And I'm traveling. I'm not using a stationary guide. Whoop. And I'm going to go right here. That's that. So the section 18A took a lot longer. Look at how cute this is already starting to look. See how it's like really nice and rounded. So you could do this on, you know, longer, shorter. Now I'm going to go into the other side. So what am I going to do next? Does somebody remember? Response, please. No. So now I'm going to take my corner right in through here and make sure that I save this area. So here's my triangle. So again, I'm taking, here's my guide, and here's my section. So I'm taking that diagonal section right through here, and I'm just bringing it straight up. And I'm going to cut that. Bring that straight up to a 90 and cut that. So see how we've got that shortness, but it's starting to fall over. And then in through here, I'm dropping, these were those two sections. I'm going to drop those down. I'm going to take that diagonal forward. I'm going to cut that corner off. I'm doing like pie sections here.
Kim Adams said, I love it, 1990s updated.
Right? And you can take this as short, like I've done actually this where I took the hair and it was only this long. And I left it really long here. So it was really a real mullet. But look at how nice those lines are. And do you see how it's really falling in? You know, it's got a nice, so if you wanted to, you could go in with a razor and just cut everything off and you'd have just a really cute kind of bob with it.
Angelina says the 90s are making a full comeback and I am living for it.
So now I'm going to take this side out.
What if you say the old clothes?
Yeah.
Not the one either.
And can you see how by just removing that, how you've already getting that mullety shag kind of look to it, which is really cool. So now this area right in through here, I just want to take this a little bit more. So I've got my texture because I want to open that up. And then where these pieces are right here, that triangle that I have, I'm going to take that and I'm going in with my double-sided texture because I don't want to remove the length, but I just want to kind of get rid of some of the strings. So I'm going on an angle and I'm chopping a couple times, pulling out, chopping, pull out, chop, pull out, and just get rid of this pieces. So see how that's like just a little bit thinner for you. Same thing over here. I'm just going to take a vertical here. And take this. I'm going, now do you see how I'm going in? I'm not going in straight up and down. I'm not just point cutting. I'm going in chop, 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 chop. And where it's a little bulky, chop, chop. And that just kind of sheds that out a little bit for you. What do you think of that? So now this corner right here, again, holding it out at a 90, going on a 45, just breaking that all up. And you need to do more. You've got this one corner right here. So you could see, look at the difference. You've got this short, this piece right here that's medium, and this is long. So you want to incorporate all that. So I'm holding from that shortest piece and it blends it. 2 chops, 2 chops, 2 chops, 3 chops. But it depends on how
Japanese really like that really long wispy hair.
Sorry, I just saw a piece that I did not like. So I'm going to go in here. I want these to be a little bit more connected. So I'm just going in there, breaking that up. So I feel that the sectioning took longer than, the haircut in a way. It's just, you got to get used to that. So now I'm going to go in here at the back. And if I mean, this is like, you've got a great guide. Look at that. You really have where this is a little bit shorter here. This comes out a little longer. So it's got a great line to it. I'm going to go with my shear. And I just want to really blend that out just a little bit more. So that's what these double-sided, because sometimes I feel like just the regular texture shear is not going to get such a nice blend. And so now I want to blow dry her and see where she's at. That's it, pretty much. Does she kind of have that rockers,
Oh, yeah.
mullet look to it? But it's a modern version of it. So now, product-wise, I want to go in with just very natural. So I'm going to use some Abakuri wild ginger treatment oil. Okay. So this is just going to hydrate those ends. And what I like about this is looks almost like I did a razor cut to it. But at the same time, I only used the texture shears, but it gave it that same look. So I like the going in on that 45 angle and removing a lot of that bulk.
Darlene says she loves it. Kitty says I make for a great cut. Diana says so far so good. She would like to see it dry.
That's where we're going. So I wanted to have a lot of texture to it. So I'm going to be using the sugar spray. So it's not really a salt, it's a sugar, but it kind of has that same feel to it. And it's by Nia, which is wonderful. And just give it some more texture. But what I really like about this is this part running through here, it goes far enough back into that precision, so it gives it that feel of that David Bowie kind of thing, you know, but it keeps all this really nice and shaggy.
The sugar stuff that makes it feel tacky.
Not real tacky because it's sugar, so here, feel. It doesn't have a real heavy feel.
No, not at all.
So if you want to see her this way, you can see it just
Perfect.
has some really nice lines to it.
I like it just like it is.
Well, I'm going to keep it kind of, I'm not going to really do a lot of brown brushing with it. What's the thing?
She wanted that haircut 3 years ago.
3 years
She's been
ago?
aggravating me ever since.
This is the cut you want?
I bet for it. But for years.
So I just want to keep it, you know, these cuts, it's not a lot of going in and round brushing. It's like more of a lived in kind of look. So that's why I like using the texture sprays in there and just letting it fall out on its own, like wherever it's gonna go.
Oh, that was great.
I know, so I want this haircut too. Hence the hat. I didn't have time for a haircut before the class.
You're causing a divorce here, darling. You're causing a divorce here. Because of this hair.
Well, we're gonna have to grow it out a little bit.
Oh, wow.
Or put some extensions in it.
There you go.
So see how I'm just going in and just doing some circles? Then I can refine it after it's all dry. But again, you can go as short or as long. But you just have a lot of body to the hair.
It really is. Wow.
Can you do this on curly hair?
Oh,
It's adorable. I just take it a little bit longer, those sections, same sectioning. So again, know the relationship of those sections, where you have them, where they're living. And then this way you can really go in there and take them shorter, take them longer. You see how that sugar spray just really just went in there and added all this body to it without really having to do much more. So a lot of my guests, what I like to tell them is how to maintain this. It's like, you know, nobody's really washing their hair every day. So how would this look like the next day? And, you know, you have bed heads, probably even look better. But I tell them to take, because most products, you know, they get reactivated by heat, right? So all they have to do is take their dryer on like a medium heat and go into circle motions like the way I'm doing right now. And that'll reflux their hair, so they don't have to put a lot more product in their hair and it'll just reactivate it. And then just by pinching I tell them, and lifting it up, slowly shape it. So this is a haircut that I love to do, and I've been doing more and more in the salon. I mean, it's so funny how hair cutting right now is evolving. You know, we started out with all that one length hair, and then after the pandemic hit, we started going into like curtain bangs, you know, and now we're putting in more textures, which is totally changing how we're coloring hair, you know, because the more layers that we have, we can only do more blocking again with our hair color. So it's going to be like pieces are going to get colored. But, so this is just, seriously, she was washed with just a clarifying shampoo and conditioner. And all I put in her hair was a little bit of the oil. And I used my sugar spray.
Here's the good old shag, love it. Marlene says she loves shags.
It's a mullet. Here, see how once you bring that, it has more of that. I know, what's the difference between a shag and a mullet, right? Now I just want to go in there with my shears and see if I need to texturize, but look at the shape. Look at how we have that oval shape to it.
Diana says she loves the texture of this cut, and Melissa says it's a very fun cut.
So I just want to go in there and clean up because I didn't do any of her edges. So I always like to cut after.
Dawn has a question. Would it take too much hair out if you use thin shears with one solid side versus the open ones that you use, the double-sided?
No.
It might leave more lines because of the solid blade.
Right. Depending on the type of texture shear you have. Do you see how I'm going in here now? And I'm just, can you see that? Do I need to get closer? There we go. So I want to really piece this out. So I'm just picking up all those pieces that I had sectioned off. I'm holding it out and I'm taking and see how I can really remove and cut and piece that out some more in through here and give it more of that edge. I'm gonna just go around like that. And like with regular shears, I wouldn't be able to get that real nice. See, I just want to remove some of that bulk right here.
Michaela says she would like to see this haircut on a person with very long hair.
It would
That
be,
wants to keep the length in the back. Would you approach that any differently?
nope, all the same way. I would just make the hair a little longer. That's all. So see how I'm holding it in my hand, looking to see where those heavy pieces are, where I want to break it up so that it blends more. And then I'm just going in there and cutting it. And with a regular shear, which I'll show you the difference between it, is like, see how this gives you that real nice scoop. And a regular shear, you really have to work at it. You're not going to get quite as much with it, you know, so you really need to go and keep cutting. With the curved shear, you've got that curve, so you're going to get some of that hair out of it.
Can you actually change the direction of the hair by which way
You curve
put
it.
in the curve shear?
So I did them so that they curved going this way. If I wanted to, I could go on this side and hold them the same way because now it's going the opposite way. And then I'd be cutting into it and it's going to be softer. So that's the other thing you have to remember. Like because I was standing on this side, the curve was, the point was going out. And now it's going, like on the other side. So you want to shift them and turn them around so you get that curve. And you can see how it's pushing it this way.
It's pointed in the direction you want.
Yeah. And like here, I'll do it on here and do it this way. And you see how it kind of brings it more this way. So you can go in here and you can, you know, round brush this. You can, it's just going back in through this area so that you get that like disconnection and that lift with it. And if this was all more one length, then you would have more of how it looks like here on the side, you know, but we just used girl.
So round.
Joan Jett lives.
And she's back. Now I'm just going in here and cutting these up. And do you see how you've got this really nice lift right in through here? And how it separates, it almost gives it that curtain bang look to it because of taking that cat eye out and taking these straight at a 90. It kind of lifted and made them a little bit more natural falling. So if I wanted to dress this up just a little bit more, I could go in here and I'll show you. I can take these long pieces and just really go in and wave that out. And that'll even make it more mullety. So you have lots of different options, and I'm just doing all along here because I really want to have that fullness. And I'm just kind of bleeding that out. See how that's changing the appearance of it? So they, oh, it would be so cute, like little ponytails. I like, there's all these different options with it. So I'm just gonna wave it out this way and then wave it out that way. See the difference on how it has more of that mullety kind of look than where it's all blended. So I'm just gonna bring that down. And, you know, regular people hair kind of lives a little different anyway. So, you know, it's gonna fall a little bit more. Nanny hair, especially colored, lightened nanny hair, is gonna have a different texture to it. But you see how we're changing that up just by pressing all this out. Bringing the 90s, 80s back. So how do you guys like this haircut?
If you're bringing the 80s back, could you make me 30 again?
Right? Oh my God.
Alice says she loves this.
Okay, do you feel that this is salon friendly?
Kitty says it's great.
Kitty, thank you.
Karen says very cool.
Yes, this is like one of, I love the sectioning on this. I love everything about this. You can You can create so many different haircuts with this.
Marlene says, of course, she feels it's summer.
Okay, good. Okay, so just to recap really quick. Our sectioning, because I feel like, well, you guys have everything, so that's cool, but look at how that like totally changed it up. I didn't do anything to the top. And you can push it, and it just can go bigger and bigger and bigger, or it can keep it really small.
Angelina said she actually not in when I was in beauty school, so I have had to make up my own to do a shack. This is way easier than the way I was doing it. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. And you can just have fun, but she's really adorable. If I can get her off.
Give me a picture then.
Look at that cute, look at how, this is what I love. I love looking at the silhouettes of everything, and look at how this right here falls in. It's not heavy, you know, it has like a little bit of flatness to it, but it pushes away. And then you have this piece right in through here. And then you have the height in through here, you know, but then at the same time it collapses like right here. So it has it just has a really fun shape to it. And she had a lot of different colors, and I just thought that she would be,
Never asked.
you know, kind of like I was looking for the right girl, you know. I really was. I was like, okay, let's go shopping in my basement.
Good radio too.
She had the right attitude. Yeah, definitely. She
Yeah,
just needs like a
Susie-
little choker on her, you know, and she'd be really cool. And a nose
Cindy
ring.
is asking, what would you do for thin hair for this
Okay, so for thick hair, I'm gonna bring this girl. Ooh, we're buzzing through these,
one? Time flies when
but we still have what, 2 hours?
No, really? Yeah,
Oh my God, how did I go so quickly through the haircuts?
you quit, you are fast.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Wow, yeah. So if you were to do this on somebody with, say, finer texture hair, kind of like what this mannequin is, what I would do is I would bring these points up a little bit so that you had more right in through this area right here. So you'd have a little bit. If you brought it down too far, then you'd have too many strings. So you want to bring this to keep that thickness. So what I might do is like, I'd do the cat eye right here. I would maybe bring that point up to here. So it would come to here, and it would be right on the very top round of the head instead. Does that kind of help? So you're just kind of bringing that up. Finer hair, you're going to have a smaller area here because you're not going to have much here. So you want to make sure that you have this.
Leave more hair on the bottom section.
So leave more hair at the bottom. Now somebody with somebody curly hair, this haircut is so adorable on curly hair, especially because, you know, the longer curly hair is, the flatter it is. But then, you know, you cut it shorter in through here and you have this beautiful like ball, you know, that's so cool. So then maybe somebody with thicker hair, I might even bring it down more. So then I would be bringing it, say for fine hair, I'd be bringing it to right here, okay? So it would go about right here, would my point be. This is like medium texture hair, and then somebody that has coarse hair, do you see how that comes lifting? So then it would be, the point would go from here. So you'd have fine hair, normal hair, thick hair, right in through here. So you'd have 3 different point to it. Because if that person has a lot of hair, you don't want to have like, where you look like you have this round here, and then you have another like triangle coming out here. You want it to have that oval shape to it.
Vanessa says, thank you, good to know, and Renee said, nice to see new texturizing techniques.
Oh, yay! We got one more. At first, when Jerry was, we were talking about the class and stuff, and he was sending me all these inspirational pictures, like, oh, I like this, I like that. I was like, I'm just gonna do 2 haircuts. I'm so glad I did 3 haircuts. So any more questions on Missy here? No?
No, just a comment,
Is it quiet?
just a comment.
Just a
You
comment?
guys, if you don't do these at home or at the salon on a mannequin or practice them a little bit, you're gonna forget 90% of what you saw today. So I would like to see some pictures. Could you send me some pictures?
Oh, that would
please?
be great. I would really like that.
Please, please, please.
Okay, so now we're on to our longest. This one is more of kind of like a mullet shag curtain bang. It's like kind of got a combination of a lot of different things. So this one's really cool too. This one is removing a lot of hair. It kind of even can go into a Farrah faucet, you know. So this one, we remove a lot of anything in through here. So that's going to be really fun. So this is my sectioning for this girl, and this is like a really easy section. So I have a zigzag parting right in through here. I have her parted down the middle. This is right at the round of the head, right where it starts to turn. This is one section right here. And then I have that triangular section right in through here. So I feel like a lot of our haircuts right now have this kind of hair section. Because we are doing more roundness in through here. And again, this is gonna have a little bit more of a disconnection. And then we have just the rest of the hair. So do you see the similarity? Actually, in all 3 of them. Look. Do you see that similarity in them? The only difference is that she's more straight and she has more of that disconnection, like the zigzagginess to it. But she is going to be more disconnected. And we're going to be doing some slide cutting, which is going to be really fun. Okay. So again, if I wanted to, I could take some of this sectioning in here and zigzag that out if I needed to. So here's my girl. So she was one time, I think we were doing teasy lights or something on her, and I put some green. Was that the teasy, or it wasn't the air lights, baby lights? So I thought she had a good vibe going for her. Okay, so I'm going to put her right here. So first things first, I am going to part her down the middle. And when I'm going to get that middle part, just gonna go right into here. I'm just going to bring her, again, it just gives me a balance when I part down the middle. Okay, so now if you look at her, from side profile here, I want to keep out all of this hair. So I want this hairline, I want all the way around like this out. Okay, and that's going to be like my very first section. If you see this girl right here, you can see that I brought all of that out, and then I brought this piece right in through here. So she has that little bit of a point right there, right? So I'm going to take my comb, and I love my comb that has, there we go. It
Parting
has
tooth?
that little parting tooth on it. It's wonderful, but sometimes it gets stuck on my bracelets. So I'm going to take that up, and I'm going to zigzag that out wherever she is. And I'm taking that right to that precision area. So it's not a super, it's about that thick of a section, right into there. And then this area right here. Thank you, Jerry. I'm like sliding on this hair. So this is like my fringe area. And then I'm going to go in here, and just section that top off. And then right, again, if you are visual here. Take this, and this is right where I'm going to part my hair. This is right where she turns, right into this area. And that's going to all get put back. This will all get clipped up. Did you guys get that? She has a very strong popping out of it. So now that I've got this right on here, to make sure that I'm on that bridal ridge. I want this right at that round. And I want it right by that ear, right there. And then this is going to dip down into here. So it's a really easy sectioning, as long as you know why you're doing it and the reason that you're doing it. So now I'm just taking my comb and I'm zigzagging. So this haircut, again, this is like a super easy peasy haircut. Taking that out. And then I'm just going to take my comb so that I get all of this out of the way. And then I'm going to take that all the way around again. Take that all the way around. And I just hold this in my hand because, you know, I just want to have a little bit more control with it. So this is my top right in through here. So I'm just going to hold this out. And I know I have that in two sections for you, but I'm just going to hold it into one. Now I'm going to go right, and I'm not doing like a diagonal forward or anything like that. I'm going right to the back of the ear. Did you see how I just scooped that up? Went right where that ear is, and then went straight up, right in through here. section that off right here. And then all we have is this back area right here. So this is a really, again, you know, addressing fine hair, curly hair. You're going to determine like how much length, or if you need to go up higher, if that hair is finer, I would go higher up on that bridal ridge. If the hair is super thick, then I would go down lower, and depends how much of a strength that you want with it. So this is for sectioning here, okay? Spin her around so she's, I'm gonna put her head forward just a little bit. Again, I'm going to be having a relationship with my shears that are curved, and I'm going to be using some lavender mint nourishing oil. So I'm going to do some slide cutting in this haircut, okay? And with the slide cutting, you want to just have a little bit more slip to it. So this is going to help slide and glide. They do have products out there that are for slide cutting. You know, it kind of has just a little bit more of a silicone. So some sort of oil, I think, is really good, or something like, a lot of times I like my super skinny serum because, you know, that has a little bit of a silicone. So I have a little bit more sliding capability when the hair is wet. So I'm just going to take one pump right now.
Who makes that, Darlene?
The tea tree, Mitchell. And I'm just going to put this on the hair. So yeah, so when you're slide cutting, it's just really good. Another thing, how do you choose the right shears to slide with? A lot of my shears have those little serrated edges. Those are not going to be good to slide cut with. You'd be like on those little bumps when you go off on the side of the road a little bit and it wakes you up. It's like the same thing. So you want to make sure that the shears that you have are able to do slide cutting. So when we're slide cutting, and I'm going to be using the curves because they slide cut really well, because I've been practicing with them.
Convex edge.
And the convex edge. Oh, there you go. See, Jerry knows everything. He knows everything about tools more than me. I just, you know, and it's just like a lot of us. It's like, okay, it works. Why did it work? Sometimes we don't know, you know, but it works. So then we just keep using it. But sometimes we don't know the meaning behind it. So with these, when I'm slide, I'm going to be going in and I'm just going to slightly close a little bit and then I'll be sliding out. Okay. I'm going to be taking a comb that's just a little bit closer in the teeth. Again, that's like something very key and very important. I'm going to be taking a center section straight down the middle. Now length, I'm not cutting the length. And you know, I think this is like really cool because a lot of people want to keep their length, and this haircut is really nice because I'm going to be scooping out. So I'm going to be maintaining that length on that hair. So they're not going to feel like it's super short, but I'll be removing a lot of hair into here. So I'm just going to be holding this out. There's really not a big guide to this. I'm going to take her out of the way so that you have a better visual here. So I'm going to take this hair, I'm going to hold it straight out, okay, just like this. I'm going to go in with my shears. Now, I don't want to go all the way from up here. What I want to do is I want it to be closed to like right at the curve. So I'm going to just go in here like this. going to go in here and I'm going to be removing it. Look at how nice they just go right up. So I got a really nice short to long. You see that? And on a mannequin, that's great because usually it just kind of stops. Okay, so now I'm going to go in here, holding that out. I'm going in. And see how I'm just putting pressure and sliding that up. So what that's going to do you see how it's already starting to give it some lift and some movement? Here. And it's giving it that movement to the hair. And now this area right here, I'm going to over direct it. And I'm just going to go in here. And see how I'm kind of just doing a little stroking with it.
Darlene, Donna is asking, how do you know where to start your side?
Good question. I don't really have a guide, but it's there because see, it's like it's not a real strong guide because I just wanted to have more of that shag look to it. So again, the relationship with the hair, where do I start? Where do I want that hair to have the movement? Where do I want to still maintain some length? So I started, when I held it out, kind of, you know, there's not really like a rhyme or reason or a right answer to it. I just want to see how it's falling. And I wanted to have more movement in through here. So I knew that I didn't want to go too short in through here because then it would just be too stringy. That kind of makes sense a little bit.
Yeah,
So the last section that I took, I held this out, okay, and I held it going back towards me. I didn't bring it straight out. I didn't over direct it. I brought it back because I want to maintain a little bit of length, like right in through here. Okay.
And Karen is hoping that Jerry will take the time to talk a bit about the curve shears since they were used to them.
Whenever you're ready.
We will.
So can you see how, like, I'll just lift this up. Look at how this is just hanging heavily. Do you see that? And see how this side has more movement? And this side is just very flat. So now I'm going to go in here. Take this hair. I'm going to hold that out. I have a guide right here. I can see where those pieces are. And then I'm just going to go in here and close my shear a little bit. And then I'm just going to start taking that out. And lifting that up. I've been having so much fun with these. And now I'm going to over direct this to my last cut section. Find my guide. And cut that up. This is very kind of a sweeping kind of haircut. So I like the shape that it's already starting to give. It just has a lot of organic feel to it. So now we're going to go to the front of the hair. And as you can see how heavy all of this is in here, what we're going to do is we're going to take this front section down. There we go. I'm going to take this down and I'm going to re-wet it just a little bit here. And we can decide how this is going to be somebody who's ready to commit to some sort of fringe. It's not going to be just a curtain bang. It's going to be a little bit more than that. I mean, you have to at least go to the tip of the nose, the bridge of the nose, or all the way up to here, right in through here. Because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking from that point and we're going to be bringing everything, all of this gone, right in here. This is all going to be dissolved. So I'm going to take this hair and I'm going to take my first triangle and very front. So do you guys need to stand up? You guys doing okay? I know we're losing light, right? Or are we doing, we're doing okay? Okay. I'm going to take my finer side of the comb. I'm going to bring my first triangular section right into here. And I'm going to slide cut. And I'm going to decide like where I want it. So I'm going to go about right there. I'm going to go a little bit longer because she's going to pop up. She has a real strong area right through here. So I'm going to hold that straight out. Again, I'm going to go in here. This time I'm going to curve them the opposite way. Okay, and I'm going to hold that and I'm going to hold this down. And I'm going to cut that off. So I just swooped it all from one side. I think I need to go a little bit more. Let's do that one more time. But can you see how that's giving it? So I'm going to go in here like this. There we go. I'm going to take that off. So it's going to give it a really nice soft fringe. I'm going to hold this out and do the same thing. Bringing it towards me. Take this out. So this whole haircut is pretty much going to be, I would be normally standing right in front of my work, but I want you guys to see. So I'm going to go in here. Now I'm incorporating all the way to the back. So I'd be bringing this forward right in through here and kind of cutting that corner off. So I'd be standing directly in front. Cutting that off. Let's see what this is. So I'm going to bring this up. I can see that little point. You see how that's just already taking a lot of that out. Totally changing the whole haircut. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And I'm going to stand and I'm just going to hold it and cut it towards me. Keep bringing this up. So you definitely need some good shears for that. I want to take that point off. So I want that to all go in time. So this point is going to come off. And this cut is more of a visual, I feel, that you're going to have, and a feel for it. So see, it has that slight little bit of a curtain bang. And so now I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to cut that just a little bit shorter. And then I'm going to go on this side, and I'm going to cut it a little bit on this side too. And how we were side cutting earlier, I'm going to do now the same thing on this side. I'm going to hold this out. Am I off again? Oh, did you? Okay.
You got it.
How's that? So now I'm going to hold this out. See where my guide is. Here's my piece. And just going to slide cut that out just so that it's all blended together. And I have my points pointing down to the palm of my hand. Do the same thing on this side. So I'm going to stand here. And just kind of cut that out. So what do you guys think about side cutting?
Love it. Soft.
The new razor. Again, I just want to really get rid of all of this, because then you see how it's already going to start to go back for you. So if you need to see a little bit of a guide, if you take this hair and bring it out, you can see that there's like a little point right here, so I can just cut that out. But look at how good this line is. Not bad. You see how that kind of starts to go into that hair look. And now I'm going to take this side, do the same thing. Kind of do a little bit of a cross check. Got a pretty good line on there. And now it feels like you're not really having a guide, but you have that eye, you have the guide just as you're taking all those different sections. Like as I'm starting to slide cut, I have my guide from my previous, you know, then I go here and I'm doing the same thing, and I'm just going in there and just starting it right at that guide.
Joyce has a question.
Sure.
Can you also use clippers to do this?
Clippers, remember the relationship you have with a clipper, that is going to be a little bit stronger. Right now, we just want to have just more of like a wind blowing, you know, like where it's just like kind of, I don't want to say feather, but kind of having that feel to it. If you use like clippers, or if you're going to use like heavy shears and just do cuts, you're going to have a heavier blunt line. This is giving you, if you look at this, there's no, I'll bring it up close here. There's no strong line to it, right? So it's more, this acts more as like a razor. See? It's giving it more of that razor look to it.
Hannah says she will use slide cutting here, says she does do it, but not with curved shears. And Diana said that slide cutting was popular when she started cutting, so it's easy as long as the shears are sharp.
Exactly. You have to have really sharp and having some sort of tool to use to slide cut with. So that's pretty much, we've cut the perimeter. You know how like a lot of times we cut the perimeter just down here? This is basically an interior perimeter that we're just cutting. And so the shape of it, it's just following the head shape and it's kind of going back and forth and it scoops down and through here. You can see how it has more, how it's kind of going into the back of the hair. It's not a real blunt line to it. So now we're going to take this top section and right where I have the round of the head. So here's my comb, and here right at the very top, I'm going to kind of section that off. And that's where that other triangle was on my mannequin. I'm going to keep this out for now. So really, we had one section here, and then we had 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's only 5 sections. Where did my girl go? Oh, there she is. So here's the area that we're addressing right now, right in through here. So we're going to take this area. And again, it's kind of shabby, mullety, but it's all going to be slide cut out. So what I like to do with this is I'm slide cutting in one direction. So I'm lifting this whole triangle up right here. You can see that. And I'm lifting it up. Okay. I have my guide right here. So I know my slide cutting, I want it to be just a little longer than that because once it dries, it's going to pop up, but I do want it to set about right there. Okay. So I'm going to lift this up and I'm holding it right at like 90 from the part. Do I need to go further back? Am I getting too close? There we go. And now I'm going to lift this up. I'm almost going to pinch it. Okay, I want to make sure my guide, so I'm going to go right here. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to slide cut just to one side. Cut that off. I'm going to take another section, and I'm not taking super thick sections. And I'm going to find my guide, just right here, and I'm going to cut that off. So if you look at this, I've got short and long, right? Now I'm going to take this section right up here and pull that off. And find my guide right there. And I'm sliding. So I'm going to the right. Okay. So you say, okay, what's going on here? Now I'm going to do the exact same thing again, but this time I'm going to slide cut from the opposite side. So then I have a little bit more weight right down the middle and a little less on the ends. I'm going to take this piece and I can see my section. And now I'm going to lift that up. And so that you guys can see, bring her down just a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to bring this side. I cut from short to long this way, right? So now I'm going to go from short to long the opposite way. So I'm holding that hair out. And now I'm going to slide cut this way. Well, hard to do on this side. There we go. So what that's going to do is it's going to give it just that little bit of lift to it. I'm going to take my next section again, and it's like about 3 sections depending on the length. Now, if you didn't want to do the slide cutting, you could go in and you can do a lot of different things. I just thought, let's just slide cut the whole haircut. So I'm going to bring this. And now go to the other side. And this one I'm bringing up. And you can see how this is all cut right here. And this side is long. So I'm going to go in here. And I just really hold on to that hair and then just rock it. So see, this almost has that same, you know, where you have that different lengths to it. And it's going to all go into this way. So now we are going to slide cut. I'm going to use a little bit because she's getting dry. So I'm going to use a little bit of oil on here. A little bit of water. So you guys enjoying this haircut? Do you feel like you're getting different versions with like different ideas for the different lengths of the hair?
Vanessa says, I'm loving this haircut. Looks like yes. Diana suggested that as an alternative to slide cutting, you could probably use a razor to do this too, right?
Yes. If you wanted to use a razor, do you want me to show you how to use a razor on the top part for something a little different?
It's basically.
We're getting like a little creative.
It's basically slide cutting.
Right, razor and slide cutting is very much the same.
We have a vote for yes.
Okay, are you guys bored with me slide cutting already? Okay, so I'm going to use my little razor. It does have a serrated edge on it, so you really can't cut yourself. I don't know if you remember last time, we had somebody that almost passed out, like, you're bleeding. Okay. Okay, so now I took that final section down. And I'm going to bring this up. And this is going to be held straight out at a 90. I'm going to find my guide from behind. So here's my guide. And I am going to be bringing this all the way across. You know, it's like I'm going to be traveling with each section. I'm holding it straight out at a 90. So I see my guide, which is right here, which for slide cutting, look at how nice that is. Isn't that great? That's slide cutting. That's so cool. So I'm going to do my potato peeling. So I'm just going in, I'm pinching that hair and pulling it and getting a real nice line with it. See that? So I can get to the length that I need. So now I'm going to go up here, like that here, and I'm just going to pinch it. That's why I like using this razor, like a feather razor you can use, because you can touch this and you're not going to cut yourself. So it has that like serrated edge on it, see? And it's just very easy to handle. So I'm just going to go in here. This is a total, can I bring like a product line? This is like a Sebastian. Sebastian did a lot of this kind of hair cutting, right? So now I'm going to take my next section, and I'm taking fairly skinny sections. If you look at this, it's not a very thick section. And have her cut all the way up. I like to start in the middle, so I just drop those down. Get a little bit of my guide. There it is. I feel today that a lot of the haircuts, they're not so constructed. You know, when you have layers in the hair, it's going to be a lot softer. And again, think about how you're sectioning that. Are you sectioning it diagonally? Are you sectioning it horizontally, vertically? What kind of line are you going to be getting with that haircut? You know, is it going to be heavy? You know, if you do a diagonal back or a diagonal forward, it's going to be a softer line because you're like working on the round of the head. Okay, so we're just going to keep taking these little mini sections. Now, if I wanted to over-direct or not over-direct, but if I wanted to keep this more even disconnected, I could cut it here instead, but I want to cut it so that it has just a little bit more of a layered look to it, windswept. And I'm going to take this off. So one day you'll see her, she'll be a short nanny. Okay. So, and I'm just, wherever I'm getting some hair, I'm picking up. That's it. So now I'm going to go to my next one. And you want the hair, again, to have that same moisture, like she's getting dry right now. So I'm going to go in here and kind of re-wet her down just a little bit. And I'm going to start in my middle section. And again, if you look at this, I'm keeping it straight out. Straight out at a 90. And that out. Keeping it pretty clean. She lost her head again. Stay there.
Is that the way you treat clients?
Oh my God, wouldn't that be great? So people say, well, you know, razors, you know, are more damaging to the hair. Slide cutting, you know, is more dangerous to the hair. It's like you're ripping it. You're really not. If you have a nice sharp pair of shears, or if you have a brand new razor, it's not going to be damaging to the hair. And plus, by using some sort of cutting oil, like a slip guard, that's going to really help protect that hair also. So that's not going. If anything, I tell my guests what damages their hair is using hot tools of some sort without any protection on it. That's where that damaged hair comes from. So feather razors aren't too expensive. I always have a brand new, I have 2 feather razors, or 3 or 4. And so I always have one that has a fresh blade. And then if I'm just doing some texture work, I'll use the other ones.
Vanessa says I'm already thinking of clients that can do this cut on.
Yay!
What's she doing?
Thinking of clients, she can do this cutoff.
Good. See her walking down the street.
I know, I'll be seeing people in Orland, Chicago. Where's everybody from?
All
Is everybody from Illinois? Do we have any out of towners?
over. Central Illinois, we have a few.
Oh, yeah? Welcome.
I think it's Burnham.
I'm going out in a few weeks to this area called Shaboom or Shaboom. It's by DeKalb, and I'm going camping.
Oh, neat.
So excited. In a tent.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Do that anymore.
You don't do that anymore?
No, it's too much trouble.
Okay, so
Especially when it
this,
rains.
sorry?
Especially when it rains.
Angelina is from Chicago, Michaela is from Mount Prospect, Karen is from Schaumburg, Diana is from Downers Grove, Alice is from Lockport, Vanessa is from South Elgin,
All right.
Deanna is from Eureka, which is between Peoria and Bloomington.
I know exactly where that is. I teach out in Peoria and Washington and Bloomington and all those areas.
Lori is from Naperville, Kitty is from Mokina,
All right.
and Kitty said the highlights really bring out the cut.
They do, right? This is another one I picked her out. So that
How many mannequins do you
we can call my husband and ask him.
have?
No, I think I have probably about 75.
Ooh.
So
Wow.
I gotta go through them, but a lot of them, they keep getting shorter and shorter and shorter, so I'm ready to depart. They're gonna be leaving, so.
Carrie is from Schaumburg.
Welcome, welcome.
Michelle is from Champaign County. Melissa is from Woodridge. Marie is from Vernon Hills. Ramona is from Bloomington. Shauna says technically today signing in from Jackson, Tennessee, but from Chicago.
Wow, I feel, oh my God, that's so cool. So can you see how this is giving that nice texture all over? This is another one. I feel that when you're doing like a haircut that's with the scissors, they're heavier because they're so much more blunt and they're cleaner, like great for bobs and all that stuff. But having more texture and more layers and stuff like that, I think we can start trying to open our bags up again of tricks and kind of explore different ways to texturize hair. Because if you do use scissors, you're going to get a lot more bluntness to it. But can you see how this gave it that shag? It took away a lot of the heaviness that's like in through here. But if you wanted to do like, you know, just a little flip and a feather, you could do that. Look at this. So this is like a totally different version of a shag. This reminds me of like, there was a haircut way back when, and I'm showing my age. And it was kind of like a gypsy kind of look, they called it, or something, right? Doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm looking at it in the thing, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really cool. This one, I've done a few of them and just let their curls shine. And this is great on curly hair too. So in through here, you can take this if you want to make it a little bit more mullety or whatever, you can take it up shorter. You can take it shorter, you know, all the way around, because the bang is always going to dictate to where you're going to have that start to angle away, right? So if I have this fringe area cut up to here, then it would be all the way up into here. So that would bring it even more. See that? See the difference with it? But I wanted to keep her a little bit more on the shaggier side of things.
Renee is from Bolingbrook. And Marie is asking, what is a good brand of razor?
A good brand of razor. You know, it depends what you're doing. Like I have more of like a straight razor and that one, oh God, what brand is it? It's just a straight razor. Hold on, I'll show you guys.
While you're looking for that, I wanted to give us a bit about this cut. And Vanessa is asking, so because more shags are coming in, are balayage color techniques going out?
Good question. So what's happening is that, you know, the balayage is always going to be there, and I think we'll always have need for it, but baby lights are coming back and face framing. So with shags and stuff like that, they're not super, you know, they're more like this. So you can go in and kind of like how I did my sectioning and balayage the underneath, which will give you a little bit more strongness, right? And then all you would have to do is just do a little bit of framing in through here of baby lights. Does that kind of make sense? And then you can bring it. So like when I do a lot of my highlighting right now, what I'll do is I will section off this area right in through here, all the way down, which is almost like how it's cut. Do you see how nice that, look at that angle. And that was all slide cutting right in through here. But then what I'll do is I will subsection it out and I will go in and just do baby lights in here. And then I pick this section up and I start my baby light. And I kind of radiate, like pivot to the middle. Or if it's to the side, then I'll just pivot to the side right there. And do some baby lights in through here. And then everything underneath here, I will just take and I will balayage. Because see, that's all underneath. So I get that real brightness around the edges. Then in through this area here, sometimes I will do like 1 or 2 baby lights, and then I will take diagonal sections and keep it a little smaller, and I'll just balayage right here. So then that'll just fall right into it. You know, that like falls right into it, right here.
In
And I do that.
response to your 18 question, Vanessa said, awesome, yes, thank you, it makes sense.
Mhm.
And Karen asks, do you remember a cut called a savage, similar to gypsy, into this cut you just did?
No. Okay, was it done with a razor? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and kind of brown brush her and see how that is. And then I'm going to go in and wherever I need to take some weight out, I will.
Karen said, no, it wasn't done with a razor. And Angelina is asking, can we see the cut style a few different ways to add some funky waves into it as well?
I plan on doing. Got my mind. So I'm going to be using this. It's called Prime. Oops, there it is. And it's by Nero. And this has a thermal protection to it. And it's a cream. And I did like, this is like 4 to 5 pumps. So I'm going to put that in my hands, work it in. And this is going to help keep the frizziness away from the hair. It's going to just protect it from the heat. I don't want to put a lot of, I like the movement of the hair, so I don't like to put a lot of heavy gels or stuff like that. But if I was somebody with finer hair and I needed to build some weight into it, I would put a more of like a light gel into it. Okay. So we're just going to go in here, and if you see this, she kind of expanded a little bit too because she has some previously lightened hair. So I'm trying to remember, the technique. It was like baby lights. And then I went in here and I did slices of some fun colors. And I did on the opposite way I did the baby lights. And I just did slices. And that turned out really cool. We did like peach on the regrowth, and then we did like a mint green. Okay. I like the word savage. That would be kind of cool.
So,
Savage. Okay. So boy, she looks so different now, doesn't she? Okay, so I'm gonna take my blow dryer. And I'm also going to use, this is a blowout spray, and this is from Our Pretty Wild Ginger. This is one of my favorites. It also protects the hair, but it also styles it just a little bit. So I really want to bring this down, and on a mannequin, I'm just going to really force this hair to have more of a fringe right into here. You know, somebody that has a bang or something like that, they're like, it's always sticking out and I have a towel. Use your a really fine bristle brush to bring that hair down, and then I flat wrap it. And then bring it down this way. So it starts to not pop to us. And then I'm going to go to the other side. And then bring that hair down. If you can blow dry a mannequin, then if you can blow dry anybody's hair. So I'm going to kind of keep her on the straighter side of things. The type of brush that I'm using right now is square. So I like that because I can really get flat if I need to, or I can get a little bit of a bend and a stronger edge to it. So see how I can get that little bit of a dip. So see how that's like starting to switch away. Right. So you, just to kind of recap a little bit on this haircut, because I know in blow drying, it's like you guys don't want to watch me like blow dry and you can destroy it. So, how we section that off, here's my girl. We have that front, right, zigzag, side, back, and two pieces like right into here. And then how we started was really determining how that hair is going to fall back like this, was determining the length of the fringe. And then going in and doing some slide cutting. Some other options, I mean, you could go in just with scissors and, you know, cut it a little bit more blunt,
but I feel like it might, be too heavy, so then you have to go back in with some texture here. So if you're just getting this just a little bit of roundness here, like, I'm just kind of looking that, and it's just showing really nice. And it's all kind of wind blown here. Oh my. We had a bird knocking on the window,
What?
a bird.
Oh, I'm so weird. Oh,
So see how I'm not really putting a lot of volume on this side. I'm gonna show you the flatter side, and, I'm gonna show you on the other side where I blow dry it a little bit more up longer. But I'm gonna show you the difference between them. So if that person has curly hair, and before I started blow drying her, after she was already cut, how she was already starting to expand, that's what curly hair. Wouldn't this be great? Because what happens with curly hair? It's like if you cut this too long, then it's always too flat and too here. So I think this cut would be really good for somebody with curly hair. I'm getting new ideas myself. Like the more you do the cut, then you do like you incorporate them. So it's like looking at all these haircuts, there's so many different ways I can incorporate one section from one haircut, another one from another, technique wise, you know, using the curved shears, using the texture shears. I mean, we really use a lot of tools, and then also the razor, the clipper. That's cool. Yeah, all these colors are really pretty with that. How are you guys doing? Is that a potty break?
Michelle H said I really like this cut.
I'm sorry?
Michelle H said she really likes this cut.
So who's up for some fly cutting? I just love looking at all that. That is so pretty. The newer version of feathering, right? Isn't that kind of like that Sarah? And by removing all of that off, but maintaining the length here at the bottom is great. So now on this side, I'm just going to lift it up a little bit more. And I want to give her a little bit more bounce. Sorry, guys. That would be like mannequin abuse, right? Now Sherry's gonna, do this, her and go, I like this one too. I like this one.
yeah. You're right. You know my work.
Uh-huh. I just think these are things that, we forgot about, and with all the cool products that we have out right now, we can do so much more, like with waxes and pomades and pastes and, different types of texturizing sprays. I mean, we can change this up. Imagine if you did this haircut on a turn, if you had that one turn class. This would be great because this is something that they could just wear, wash and wear hair. I feel like this pandemic really made people think differently of like, you know, how much time that they want to spend on their hair, or something that's versatile where if they want to go out, but they're all starting to get, I don't know if this is happening with you, but they're like, you know what, why should I have hair that is one length or whatever, and all I do is I wear a ponytail. And I'm like, well, if you're gonna wear a ponytail, you might as well just cut it all off. So we've been doing more like where they can have like their own hair, you know, natural, like where they can just brush it or let it air dry, so it looks good, you know? Sorry?
How many hours are this class?
3.5. We're getting it close to the end,
15
right?
more minutes, yeah. And
So,
you are right on time.
the touch a little bit right here. So my biggest fear when I'm teaching, you know, sharing all this stuff with you guys is that I don't have enough information and enough of things to keep you the 3.5 hours encrypted, or too much where I can't get through it all. So, like in this yellow hair, yellow green,
Yeah.
kind of like springy. Okay, so you can see the difference in the blowout. You can have this side has more fullness to it, and this side is a little bit straighter. So.
You time it just right for later.
Who said that?
Me.
I'm not done yet. Okay, so I'm taking a little bit, oops, of my oil, my tea tree oil, and I just want to put it through here. And I want to be able to show you guys the difference between the two sides. And then tell me which side is your favorite. And this is just blow dried. So see how that oil is going to separate, or the pomade, or, you know, whatever that you normally use. Okay. So you can definitely see the difference in this. Okay. So this is the smoother side, right? And as we go back, it kind of incorporates. Look at the length, look at all the layers and how they just fall. And then here we have a little bit more of that texture, and this is just blow dried. So if I wanted to go in and just do a slight wave with it, I'll show you that.
Ramona says the smoother side is her favorite.
I kind of like that too.
Michelle likes the textured side. Angelina is a volume kind of girl, so she likes the textured side more.
Okay.
Deanna likes smooth, Vanessa likes the same.
All right.
Donna likes the smooth side.
So now I'm going to take and I'm going to just do a half because I want it to have a wave. So I'm bringing it towards me. Taking the iron, I'm not doing it all the way at the scalp. I'm doing it up or down. And I'm just doing a slight turn. So I get that wave to it. And I'm doing these on a diagonal. So take that and see how that's just kind of crimping it.
Everybody seems to be split down the middle. Texture, smooth, texture. Marie says like both and depends on the mood.
That's right. That's the nice thing. You can have those options. So when I'm doing a guest in my chair, what I like to do is give her like 2 options. So she always goes home with one full style, but I'll give her 2 options of ways that she can style it.
Alex says she enjoys the online classes and hopes they are an option from today forward. It saves her the travel time and opens it up to more classes that may
Exactly.
not be in her area necessarily.
So we are going to, as soon as I'm done with this, I've got just a few things to chit chat with you guys.
Angelina says she loves these waves, especially on the texture class. And Vanessa is asking, can she post a picture of this class on her Instagram page?
Oh my God, I would love to. And if she could tag Darlene Burnham, that would be great.
Absolutely.
So look at all these fun waves. And that was, seriously, how long did that take me? Like minutes? So just going in and it kind of flattens it out just a little bit. And then just to where those ends start to wave, and you can see how they just, and if you wanted to, you could go the opposite way and just flip those ends out a little bit more to add a little more story to it.
Darlene, you were right.
What? Oh, I was saying, I know she's gonna love this one even more. Jerry's gonna be getting the new life. Her new style. So by doing this iron, now you can really, really see the difference with it. Again, a little bit of oil. I just used the tea tree nourishing oil. That's like on my hands. And also velvet cream. Just a little bit of that. And I like to cocktail them together.
What was the second thing, Darlene?
Velvet cream by Invisible Wear from Paul Mitchell. I'm a Paul Mitchell kind girl. So you could even tag Paul Mitchell on this. So now I'm going to I just want to kind of like wipe it through the hair so that, look at the texture it has and look at how versatile. I mean, it's just it's so much fun. And then this side, if you want to just kind of have her feathered, you can have her feathered and have just that little bit. But she, you know, the thing is that it's this way. You know, she has more of that roundness, almost like a bob, right? But it's got all that like weight taken out from the sides here, which we were preserving for so long. Now we're taking it away. And then this side, it just has a little bit more of, you know, that shorter writing through here. I mean, how many years have we been like, protect, protect, protect right here? Now I just cut it all off. Like we're starting to take that hair and just make it go back a little bit more and just have a little bit more fun to it. So it's out of the face and out of the way.
Michelle says, love it. So many different style options.
So, oh my gosh, we're getting close to the end.
Do we have some time for Jerry to chat about the show?